One thing I want you to know is that you don't have to cheat the system to win, but you do need to understand it. Ultimately, there is a reason why some people keep getting richer and richer and richer, and that's even in a downturn. And sometimes it's not because they're playing dirty. I know we like to think that, but everyone doesn't play dirty. Some people know how to play smart, and that's what I want to talk about today. Because I want to talk about building wealth without selling your soul. You do not have to sell out to become a recession millionaire. So if you've ever felt torn between keeping your values and building wealth, you're not alone. In fact, a lot of Christians believe that they have to choose between being financially free and being faithful. But that's not true. You don't have to play the world's game. You just need a better strategy. Hey friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Brianna Whiteside, and you're watching Recession Millionaires, where we begin to position ourselves to take advantage of the pending economic downturn. If you don't know, 2020 ushered in a lot of millionaires. They were in the 2020 class, so that meant that they emerged in 2021 and 2022. Well, now we find ourselves in that position again. We're in 2025, threatening an economic collapse. And I don't want you to miss this cycle, because if you didn't know enough to participate in the last cycle, you're gonna want to catch up on that information for this cycle. I fully plan on being a recession millionaire, and I hope you do too. With that in mind, please like the video so we can get it started in the algorithm, and YouTube will push it out to more believers who need to know more about money and have a desire to be financially free. So let's jumpstart this video talking about understanding the system. With this in mind, you need to know that wealth flows to those who own and not to those who just work. And if you come from a Black and brown community, I know that sounds counter to what you may have heard, because generally we're just conditioned to believe you just have to get a good job, go to work, stay on that work, save for retirement, and then retire. That is not how that works. We must understand that the economic systems of the world rewards owners. This is owners of businesses, owners of stocks, or even owners of intellectual property. So we must get out of our mind that time and labor will allow us to become millionaires, because it won't. So let's think of it this way. Since I'm a teacher, I love to give you examples. We have a content creator who builds a brand and can license their work, or they're now able to get brand deals for years to come, like me. That is a system of ownership, right? They're not only owning their image, they're also owning their intellectual property. On the other hand, we have someone who gets paid for hourly work, and then that's it. The exchange is over. That's no way to build wealth. That's only exchanging time and labor for what your employer tells you that they're willing to pay you. So what we need to understand is that rich people don't trade time for money. Instead, they buy assets that produce income even when they're sleeping. So they're making money as they're napping. An example of this is like a real estate investor that earns rent monthly. So they have this residual income coming in. On the other hand, you may have a teacher. No shade to the teachers. I was one too. But you'll have a teacher who only earns a paycheck every 2 weeks. Or in my case, I only earned a paycheck once a month. Do you know how disciplined you have to be to only get paid once a month? It was no life to live, y'all. So think about those two lifestyles that those two different people have, the real estate investor versus the teacher. Which one would you rather be? And as we're thinking about building wealth and generational wealth at that, we need to understand or consider that there's a reason that generational wealth is passed down through assets and not hours worked. To be clear, no one, and I mean absolutely no one, leaves their job titles in their will. Nobody. Instead, they leave land, they leave property, they leave businesses, they leave stocks, they leave intellectual property to their lineages, right? And this is how they continue to build generational wealth. It passes from one generation to another. Friends, you have to understand that there's a reason why the working class has been taught to focus on getting paid, while the wealthy have been taught to focus on equity. The game is not rigged. It's just accessible to those who have the information. So I don't want you to feel left out. I want to talk about some things that they do that you can ultimately start doing today as well. The first thing that you need to understand is that wealth builders use systems, they use strategies, and simplicity, not schemes. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. They're very clear about the systems and structures that they build to produce wealth. So Get your pen and paper out. Here's what you need to know. They automate income. Number one, they automate income. And here's an example of that. Someone writes an ebook once. They only write it one time, and then they sell it forever. What is that? That's digital real estate. Another example is that a YouTuber has the potential to gain revenue from a video that they made and uploaded in 2020 because that video lives on YouTube forever, so it has a longer shelf life. These are some ways that you get to automate income. Think about your gifts and talents and begin to think about ways you're able to automate your own income. Number two, they use good debt to generate more money. So generally, we may see business owners use business credit to scale or grow their business. They're ultimately buying equipment or inventory that builds them wealth. They're not just filling their Shein cart with clothes or bags or things like that. No, they're buying idea producing equipment, money producing equipment. And number three, with that in mind, they buy income producing assets rather than liabilities. And what's an example of that? They buy vending machines. They buy ATMs. They buy dividend paying stocks. They buy digital products. And for the people who like to stun on everybody, instead of buying luxury cars, they buy duplexes that they then rent out to cover the entire investment for the mortgage. You see what I'm saying here? There's a different mindset behind this. And number four, they know the game is about ownership. To be clear, an artist doesn't just sell prints. They license their work for ads, for books, or for merchandise. This is about ownership. Okay? So think about some things that you can create surrounding what you're good at. Think about intellectual property, think about ownership, and think about ways that you can package that to generate income for yourself every month. So now let's think about a few wealth strategies that don't require you to compromise, because I'm not interested in compromising and neither should you. And the first to lead us into this discussion is my absolute favorite high yield savings accounts because they are risk free. My favorite is Markets by Goldman Sachs. I'll say this over and over again. And as a matter of fact, I'll link my personal account, my affiliate link in the description. But you need to be allowing your money to work for you even as you become more financially responsible. Your money should be earning money. Even when you're in the waiting season, that money should not be waiting. That money should be growing, okay? The second thing I want to talk about is learning to invest in index funds. And to be clear, this is teetering into the realm of stock market investments, but I want you to understand you don't need to be a stock market genius. You just need to be consistent. And a few index funds that I like are the SPY, which is the S&P 500, VTI, or VU. I have these in my Roth IRA. So these are some index funds that generally give a good return on investment. And if you don't know, historically, the S&P 500 has given annually a return of 8 to 10%. So you really can't beat that. It's a win-win situation. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm just giving you some things to think about and telling you some things that I'm doing, okay? But I think here's a good example to help paint the picture of what I'm talking about. If you invest $250 a month over 10 years in a low-fee index fund, you could yield between $45,000 and $60,000 depending on the market. That's a lot of money, y'all. And I think the cool thing is that index funds don't require like high-level trading or high-level understanding of the entire stock market. Ultimately, you invest, you hold, and you let it grow. And I like that strategy. So a few apps that you can consider looking into investing in index funds are Fidelity, Vanguard, or even Robinhood. Like I use Fidelity and Robinhood for different reasons, but I do hold those two brokerage accounts. So the key here is setting it and forgetting it, okay? The next thing I want to kind of put on your radar is your ability to monetize your message or your skill set. With that in mind, it's important for you to know that you're already sitting on something that can make you money. You just haven't packaged it yet. So if you've ever helped someone solve a problem, such as meal prepping, organizing, writing, or public speaking, you have a monetizable skill. Say it with me. I have a monetizable skill. Turn your story into an ebook. Sell that ebook for $17. If you sell it 100 times, that's $1,700. You have something to offer, y'all. You have something to offer. So I know some people are like, well, where do I start? Where do I start? How about you just start with something that you know? Do you teach? Create a mini course. Do you help others? Offer paid consultations. Do you write well? Offer email marketing services. And then you can use free tools to help you get to your goal. And what do I mean by free tools? Canva, Gumroad, YouTube, Substack. The number of platforms are endless. You just have to start using them. And the cool thing about free platforms is that it's free publicity. You get visibility without the debt that comes with that. You don't have to pay an ad service. You get free visibility without debt. That's my type of story. I like that payoff. Now we've gotten to the point of this video where I have to give you our faith insight, because it wouldn't be me without offering you some type of Bible to stand on, right? So if we look at the story of Joseph in Genesis 41, we see that Joseph did not rely on Pharaoh's generosity. Instead, your Bible tells you that he created a plan for economic preservation. And as a result, we see that he became the most powerful man in Egypt. And get this, it wasn't because of miracles. It was because of his awareness and understanding of stewardship and strategy. I want you to know that you don't have to lie, manipulate, or even chase hustle culture. Instead, you need clarity. You need structure, and you need systems. If we stand on Bible and we believe it, then we must believe Proverbs 13:22. And that tells us that a good man leaves an inheritance for who? His children's children. So not just his children, but for his grandchildren. And you need to understand that inheritance cannot exist without ownership. And ownership starts with you. So here's what I want you to consider doing this week. Number one, open a high yield savings account. My link is in the description, and start saving there. Number two, research one index fund and commit to storing some type of money there. It can be $20, $30, $40, $50. I don't care. The goal is to commit and start doing it consistently. And number three, write down your top 3 skills and brainstorm how to turn one into an offer or a resource. And as we close this video out, I want you to know that wealth without compromise is not only possible, but it is required, especially for this season that we're in. If today's video has showed you anything, it's that you don't have to compromise to win, but you do need a system. My strategy sessions are designed to help you build wealth your way. And by your way, I mean without selling your soul and chasing hustle culture. During our sessions, we'll develop a scalable, value-aligned strategy that coincides with your life and your calling. Friends, you don't need to play the world's game. You just need a better playbook. So tap the link in the description to work with me one-on-one. And if you have not liked this video, please like the video and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'll see you soon in another installment of Recession Millionaires. Bye, y'all.